Hi crafty friends, this is Nanner BaNanner coming on to show you how I make my curved spines. Keep in mind I made my first curved spine just a few days ago after watching Maddie's video tutorial on how to make a curved spine. I've also watched Carla Frizzell's video. They're similar, but there's some differences, and I think you'll find there's some difference in mine and theirs as well. I think I've came up with a neat idea on how I can make these up ahead of time and pull them as I need them, and this is one step done in my journal making process. I want to preface this video by saying it might be a little bit of a hot mess, only because I'm going to be up, down, moving things around to show you all the steps. I found a box of these legal size hanging file folders at Goodwill for $2.99. That was a good deal. I bought them, not really knowing for sure that I didn't, at the time I bought them, I didn't know I was going to be doing this. I just thought it would be a good thing to have on hand for making different things. So the first thing you've got to do if you're making these is cut this metal piece off so these can become usable file folders for what we're going to be making. So this is the large Fiskars cutter. I use it a lot. You can cut, I think it's up to 10 sheets of paper at a time. Obviously they're not talking about cardstock, they're talking about normal weight paper, but it's bulky, so it's not a cutter I use for everything, just for my bigger jobs. So this is an oversized file folder. It's not 12 by 12. This is meant to work with 12 by 12 paper, but I'm able to butt it up against those guidelines, hold down the guide, and push the cutting blade across. One neat thing about this tool is it's self-sharpening, so in theory I should never have to replace this now that I've bought it. It is about a $100 purchase, but I personally feel like it's worth the price. I've used it a lot in my journal making. Let me push that out of the way. All right, so we're going to move to my smaller cutter here next. And I've already cut down all of these file folders because I thought I'd go ahead and make a few up, and then I thought we could do like a book together so you would be able to see how this works once I make them up, how they actually are able to be pulled and used to bind a book. So let's get started here. All right. First thing you need to do is, you'll notice that these have score lines already on them on both sides. If you open this up and measure it, this will make a 2-inch curved spine, which in reality means the spine is probably about 1.5 inches. Let me go get my journal I just made and we'll measure it and find out. So this is the journal I made using Maddie's tutorial and then coming up with this idea. So let me see how wide this is. It's about 1.5 inches. That's what it is. So this measures 2 inches. It turns into 1.5 inch spine. I know a lot of people like to do 2-inch and 3-inch spines. So my advice would be to cut evenly. So this is 1 inch. If you made it 4 inches, you're going to lose a 1/2 inch. Well, you're going to lose more than that. Okay, so I'm trying to do the math here. So the 2 inches turns into a 1.5 inch spine. So if you scored out, they're scoring every 4th inch. So just know that you're always going to just take off a 1/2 inch. So if you made this a total of 4 inches, it's going to be a 3.5 inch spine. If you made this 3.5 inches, it'll be a 3-inch spine. If you made this 2.5 inches, it'll be a 2-inch spine. For the journals I'm going to be doing, I'm going to keep my spines this size. Now I am going to make some of these larger because I do think a 2-inch spine would be nice. Debating if I just want to do that or not. This is a nice size though, and I've got a lot of these books to do. Let me do some both ways. So let's do the one that'll be a 1.5 inch spine. So we're going to go with just the score lines that are already on the hanging file folder. The first thing you're going to want to do is cut this down to 12 by 12. Now if you want to make these where you could do even larger books, that's fine. I personally have a hard time working in really large books, so for me, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to make mine 12 by 12 because I can easily put them in this cutter and work with them. So I'll take it to the 12-inch mark and cut this down. I'm going to save all my pieces just because these will be perfect for making tags and stuff like that out of as I go. And you will need to have 2 folders to make one spine the way I'm doing it. Where I think the way Maddie and Carla do it, they only use 1 folder. So I am using more materials this way, but I love the transition it creates going into the book. And you'll see, because I'm going to be putting a spine into a book that has pretty thick, I can't remember what that's called, board right there, and otherwise you're going to see like a little dip down, and I like it better where you don't see that. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do is going to be the 1.5 inch spine. So this is 2 inches. You lose 1/2 inch with the curve of the spine. That's what you have to remember. Also, the other thing we are going to do is, so here's the last score line. I need to measure over 1/2 inch because I need a 1/2 inch overhang to glue this to the book. Again, I'm going to save my paper. So this is what I've got. I hope that makes sense. Let me sort of fold this up so you can see what I'm talking about. I cut an extra 1/2 inch after the score lines to have this piece here that'll allow me to attach it to the book. Now I'm going to do the same thing to this piece here. Let me cut a 1/2 inch. Again, you're lining up this score line right here with your 1/2 inch mark. Ooh, that looks really crooked. I think I've messed up. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, let's try that again. At least I did mess up, but at least it can be fixed. All right, there we go. That's always a good thing when your mess ups can be fixed. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and bend this one back as well. And now I'm going to glue my spine together. I think you'll get the idea here real quick when you see what I do with this next step. And the only reason I'm leaving it the length that it is because this way I'm going to make all the supplies I have up of these, put them in a container, and then when I need a spine, I'm going to pull it. I think I will split them between this size for little golden books and probably, I can't decide if I want to do, well, maybe I'll, depending on how many I have, I'll do enough to do a bunch of different size spines. Like I could do a 2-inch spine, a 2.5 inch spine. I don't think I would ever personally do a 3-inch spine, but I would know I would maybe do a 2.5. So depending on the size of the book. And we are just gluing this to where we're buttoning up this 1/2 inch right here. Hopefully that's showing up really well for you and you're understanding what I'm saying. So I'm going to push that down, get that glued in there really good. That might be another way to show it a little bit better. I don't know. There we go. It's still got some wiggle room. And let's make sure we're over here like we need to be. Alright, I think that shows it the best by doing it like that. Plus it's letting me really push the glue down. All right. So basically, I'm left with a very stable spine. And then you may be wondering, well, how do you get it to bend? Now you can come back and on each one of those little score lines, gently fold it up. And then it creates a natural curve. And it's very sturdy. Okay, so you can see there's the natural curve, and especially once you get it on the book, you'll be able to manipulate it a little bit more. So for example, this journal is going to be, let's just put a little snip in here, and then we can cut it. We'll see how long it is. So if I pulled this out, this is already made up. I pull it out, I line it up to my book, and I give it a little snip. And then I can come back, bring my cutter over, and cut it the length I need. This is what I meant about this will be able to be pulled out at a later time, have them all made up. One step's done, they've been glued, they're sturdy, and you've got your spine that you need for your book. All right, let me get my book out. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is glue my book down. I'll just do this, and glue these in. And then I will let these sit for 24 hours before I do anything else to it. Obviously, this would get covered up with material, which I will show when I do my little golden book. So I'm going to keep this one very much just about, this video is going to be just about making these spines. And then I'll do another video when I do my Raggedy Ann and Andy little golden books. I'll do another video where I take a golden book apart. We add one of these spines that I will already have made up. So we're going to glue this down. And I'm using the PVA glue is what I'm using. Now, one thing I don't have out here to make the bigger spines right now is the PVA, my scoreboard. So I'm gonna not do the bigger spines on this video just because I would need to score another 1/4 of an inch, to get to the 2-inch spine size that we talked about. And then after you get the 1/2 inch, so that's 2 score lines would be a 1/2 inch at a 1/4 of an inch each, then you'd still do your 1/2 inch cut for these little flaps that allow you to place your book on the flap and then glue it. But this is so simple. I think this is like gonna change the way I do spines. Like I said, this is my second curved spine I'm making. I just made one so far, but I like the look of the curved spines. I like the way those journals lay. So I can see there'll be more of these in my future. Here's my little, I cut up some microfiber cloths so I could use those instead of my fingers, instead of getting my fingers all gluey. All right, perfect. Now let's flip it over and we'll do these flaps. This lets you too, as you get books and you know you're wanting to make, whether it's journals, glue books, out of them, you can just go ahead and have this part done, put the pages back inside, not signatures, but just lay them in there till you're ready to work on the journal. And they don't take up nearly as much space. All right. Again, I would let this set for 24 hours just so this glue gets completely dry and secure onto the book. That's what the recommendation of the glue, the book binding glue is, the PVA glue. And I will be back with another video when I'm doing the little golden books. You'll see me put material on this then, so look for that video as well, and you'll see how I add the material to this binding, because in that video we will do the material part as well. But I wanted to hop on and show everybody how I came up with this idea, and I wanted to show you, okay, so look at that smooth transition now between the board and the spine. There's no dip down, you don't see anything like that, and when you cover it with material you won't see this part either. And look at the curve of the spine, and keep in mind this has not dried yet. It'll get even more and more secure as it dries, and you can manipulate it if you want the spine to be more curved than this. But it lets the book lay completely flat when you're working in it. That's one of the positives of a curved spine. All right, guys, I hope this video helps and inspires some of you to make some of these up and use as needed. Please leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate the support of my channel, and I'd love to know if you think this is a good idea or not. All right, keep it cute, keep it crafty, and keep making something out of nothing. Bye.